A scream shattered the evening calm of Willow Creek Farm. Thomas Hargrove's heart raced as he sprinted toward the source. A chaos of barks and growls erupted from the rocky northern slope. Max, his German shepherd, was already there, teeth bared, nose pressed against something half-buried in the dust. "What did you find, boy?" Thomas called out, dread coiling in his stomach. His pulse quickened as he reached the crest of the slope, the sun sinking fast behind the hills, casting the landscape in eerie shadows. Max whined, pacing anxiously, as Thomas dropped to his knees. Pushing the date away with trembling fingers, he revealed a glint of metal, a carved disc, unlike anything he had ever seen. The symbols etched into its surface shimmered, reflecting a light that seemed unnatural, almost alive. "What the hell?" he blurted, forcing himself to resist the urge to retreat. The legends of his ancestors rushed back to him. Stories whispered in the darkness about a doorway to ancestral knowledge sealed beneath the land, waiting for the right person to find it. Was this the moment they had warned of? Suddenly, a voice cut through the stillness. "What are you doing, Hargrove?" It was Victoria Reynolds, the acquisitions officer from Horizon Agricultural Enterprises, her demeanor as sharp as the chill in the air. Thomas stood, hiding the disc behind him instinctively. "Nothing that concerns you, Victoria." Her eyes narrowed, calculating. "You do realize that we're interested in acquiring this property for more than just farming, don't you? If you've found something that could impact its value, we need to talk. Now." "I'm well aware of what you want," he retorted, not wanting her to see his unease. "But whatever's here belongs to my family. You'll have to pry it from my cold, dead hands." Just as he said it, the ground rumbled beneath them. Both Thomas and Victoria stumbled back, eyes wide. Dust and small rocks cascaded down from the slope's edge, and the air grew thick with an electric charge. It felt as if the earth itself was awakening, responding to an ancient calling. "Are you serious? What is happening?" Victoria shouted, her facade cracking for the first time. "I don't know, but we need to." Before he could finish, the ancient disc slipped from his grip, rolling down into the shadows of the slope. Their eyes locked in terror as a fissure broke open in the ground, splitting the very earth wide enough to reveal something glowing beneath, an underground chamber that pulsed with an otherworldly light. "Thomas!" Victoria exclaimed, backing away. Before he could react, a distant sound reverberated through the air, a deep, resonant humming that seemed to call to him, beckoning him closer to the glowing chasm. In that instant of hesitation, time seemed to stretch. Thomas felt the weight of his family's legacy, the burden of desperation, his last chance to hold onto an inheritance that had survived generations. "I'm not losing this," he whispered, heart pounding, as he took a step forward, driven by instinct more than logic. But behind him, a swift movement caught his eye. Max had darted down the slope, his instincts driving him toward the light. "Max, no!" Everything blurred into chaos as the ground shook violently. Thomas lunged forward, reaching out, but the dogs had disappeared into the glow, taking the last tether of normalcy with them as the world tilted to an unimaginable abyss. "Max!" he screamed into the dark, the ancient pull of the chamber surrounding him, the secrets of the past threatening to swallow him whole. Would he follow his dog into darkness, or rescue both his loyal companion and the legacy of his family? The choice was before him, the stakes nothing less than life and death. Certainly. Here's a seamless continuation from the end of Chapter 1, diving straight into the next phase of the story without a chapter heading. "Max!" he screamed into the dark, his voice swallowed by the abyss. Fear bubbled within him, coiling tighter with every second. The ancient pull of the chamber thrummed beneath his feet, as if the very ground urged him forward. In the pit of his stomach, he felt an ache, a connection that transcended time, a call from the legacy his family had guarded for generations. Desperation fueled his charge down the slope, the earth quaking as he ran, the glow beckoning him deeper into the unknown. "I'm coming for you, boy," he shouted, reaching the edge of the chasm just before it crumbled away, hurtling him into the dark. He tumbled into the underground chamber, limbs flailing as he landed on damp earth that felt alive, pulse and rhythm responding beneath him like a heartbeat. Swallowing his panic, Thomas pushed himself off the ground and darted toward the source of the light, which flickered wildly in the distance, casting long shadows that danced along the cavern walls. "Max!" His voice echoed, swallowed by the vastness around him. The air was thick with a tangible energy, crackling, whispering secrets of the ages long forgotten. He moved cautiously, the staircase of stone winding downward like a serpent, leading him further away from the surface and deeper into history. As he descended, images began to meld with his surroundings, flashes of ancient rituals, a community thriving under the wisdom of their ancestors, guardians of the earth. How long had they waited for someone to unlock their legacy? But alongside the awe-washed in dread, what if the legends were true? What if he had awakened something that should have remained undisturbed? Suddenly, a frantic bark broke through his thoughts, sharper than the shadows closing in. "Max!" Thomas shouted again, racing toward the sound, heart hammering in his chest. He burst into a larger chamber, the air cooler and tinged with the scent of moss and stone. There, at the heart of the room, was Max, crouched protectively over a pedestal covered in luminous inscriptions, the same ones he had seen on the disc. His loyal companion's fur was standing on end, alert and ready to protect against an unseen threat. "Good boy." Thomas knelt to embrace Max, feeling waves of relief flood through him before turning his attention to the pedestal. The powerful glow radiating from it lifted the air around, illuminating mysterious symbols that seemed to swirl and shift, as if alive. "Is this what you were after?" he murmured, half to himself, half to the dog. The inscriptions danced with blue and gold hues, captivating his gaze. The connection tugged at him again, a voice that beckoned in tones he could almost understand. Without thinking, he reached out to touch one of the symbols, and as his fingers made contact, a surge of energy coursed through him, sending a shockwave of clarity into his mind. Images flooded back, the past of Willow Creek, the rise and fall of its guardians, a power that had long lain dormant, confined by the fear of those who had come before him. But as his mind raced with ancient knowledge, the ground trembled ominously, and an ominous voice reverberated through the chamber. "You are not meant to be here, Thomas Hargrove. You awakened that which should remain asleep." Thomas spun around, heart racing. Before him, shadows twisted into a figure wreathed in darkness, an apparition bearing the weight of ages. "Why have you come?" the figure asked, its voice echoing through the stone like a grating whisper, sending chills down Thomas's spine. I came for my dog." Thomas stammered, indignant rage flooding his senses. "What do you want with us? What is this place?" The heart of Willow Creek, the figure intoned, its eyes glowing like embers. "You seek to know your ancestors, yet you know not the price of their power. The legacy you hoard was forged in blood and sacrifice." "I don't want to hoard anything. I want to understand." Thomas shot back, clutching Max's collar as the dog growled low and deep, his instincts attuned to the looming threat. "Tell me how to stop this." Silence fell between them, the figure studying him with piercing intensity. "Then you will face the trials of the guardians, for only those worthy may inherit the power of the land. Choose wisely, for the echoes of the past hold truths best left unseen." Before he could react, the chamber began to tremble violently, as if responding to the figure's words. The pedestal pulsated with energy, its inscriptions glowing brighter, and shadows swirled ominously around them. "Hold on, Max," Thomas cried as the floor beneath him began to shift, and the world blossomed into chaos. They were thrust into a trial, one that would either forge them or break them, sending them spiraling deeper into the heart of mystery waiting to be unraveled. The legacy of Willow Creek was awakening, and now it was up to him to navigate what came next. Max barked furiously at the figure as the shadows closed in around them, and Thomas felt his resolve hardening. He had no intention of backing down. Whoever, or whatever, this entity was, it had no right to threaten him or his family's legacy. "Trials!" Thomas shouted over the chaotic wind swirling within the chamber, determined to be heard. "What kind of trials? What do you want from me?" The figure stepped closer, the shadows coiling around it like a cloak. "To prove your worthiness, you must face the echoes of those who came before you. Only then can the knowledge of your ancestors be revealed. Are you prepared to bear the weight of their history?" Before Thomas could answer, the ground shook violently, an unseen pressure building as if the very earth were anticipating his response. "This isn't just a game," he yelled, adrenaline pumping through his veins. "I won't let you take anything from me." An ethereal laugh echoed, chilling his bones. You misunderstand, Hargrove. You have already crossed the threshold. Your choice to delve deeper has set the predicates in motion. Now you must decide, will you embrace the path of the Guardians, or will you perish under the weight of forgotten legacies? In that instant, a thunderous roar erupted from the depths of the chamber, shaking the stones above. The shadows around them coalesced into shapes, figures from long ago, spectral guardians with eyes glowing like burning coals, emerging from the very stone itself. Each one bore an aura of power, their presence both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Thomas's heart raced as he understood the gravity of his situation. He was not merely a bystander. He was now a participant in this ancient rite. "What do I have to do?" he demanded, standing tall, defensively positioning Max beside him. The dog's growls had ceased, replaced by fierce loyalty and unyielding courage. "Complete the trials of the Guardians," the figure proclaimed, gesturing toward the phantoms, who awaited his command. "Only when you confront your fears and uncover the truths of your family's legacy can you prevail." As the spectral figures began to move toward him, Thomas felt the stirrings of panic escalating within. What fears awaited him? What monumental truths were hidden from view? "Let's do this, Max," he whispered, clenching his jaw. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together." With a sudden burst of energy, the Guardians moved, blurring into ethereal forms that surrounded him, and in a flash of light, the cavern vanished. He and Max were hurled into a brilliant vortex of shimmering colors, swirling visions of the past colliding like an unending tapestry. Flickers of memories, of joy, sorrow, battles fought and lost, glimmers of laughter mixed with tears, enveloped him. Each thread beckoned him closer to understanding, to his very essence. The world around him shifted, and suddenly, he found himself in an ancient forest, sunlight filtering through the emerald canopy above. The air was rich with the scent of pine and damp earth, and birds sang melodious tunes. But a dark undertone lurked just beneath the surface, a reminder that this was not merely a simple journey through nature. "Thomas!" A voice echoed, startling him. He turned to see a young woman, his great-grandmother, Clara Hargrove, standing before him, her appearance vivid and vibrant, as if she were plucked from the pages of history. "Clara," he gasped, disoriented yet captivated. "Is it really you?" "Yes, my dear. And there is much we must discuss." Her expression was one of urgency, as though time was slipping away. "You have awoken something. Dangerous powers are staring beneath the surface of our land. You must understand the history before you can face the darkness that threatens to engulf us all." In an instant, the serene forest transformed, shifting to reveal a battlefield littered with strife. The echoes of the past flooded his senses. Thomas stood frozen as memory streamed past him, the Hargrove Guardians fighting valiantly against dark forces, struggling to protect Willow Creek from an encroaching evil. Swords met shields, and cries of anguish collided with triumphant roars, weaving a haunting symphony of courage and sacrifice. Clara reappeared beside him, her voice steady, cutting through the chaos. "The trials are not just about strength, they are about understanding sacrifice, pain, and ultimately, choice. Your heart must guide you if you wish to reclaim what is rightfully yours." Thomas fought against a swell of fear and confusion, grounding himself. "What must I do?" "You must confront your greatest fears, your doubts, the shadows that linger in your mind," Clara urged, her eyes intense. "Only then will you uncover the key to harnessing the ancient power that lies dormant within you." "Why me? Why now?" he pressed, desperation leaking through. "What makes me worthy?" "Because you carry their blood, their strength. It flows through your veins." "But first," she said, gesturing to the battleground swirling around them, "you must delve into the memories, embrace the pain, feel their struggle, all to unearth your true legacy." As the memories swirled like a storm, the faces of his ancestors faded into view, the despair tearing at Thomas's heart. He was the bearer of the memories now and must shoulder the burdens they had endured. "Remember," Clara said, her voice fading into the din of battle, "every choice becomes a part of you. Choose wisely." And with that, the echoes crashed over him, merging as one chaotic wave, thrusting him deeper into the heart of the trials. The true test of his family's legacy had just begun. The tumult of the battlefield enveloped Thomas like a living entity, pulsing with energy and raw emotion. He stood at the epicenter of chaos, where the past and present collided with fearsome intensity. His ancestors' struggles resonated within him, the valiant fight for Willow Creek and the dark forces that sought to extinguish their legacy. Voices filled his mind, a cacophony of anguish and determination. "Face your fears, Thomas." Clara's voice rang clear through the storm. "Understand what they sacrificed. Only then will you find your strength." He pushed forward, seeking clarity amid the blinding chaos swirling around him. Shadows of battle rose and fell, depicting moments of triumph and despair. He caught glimpses of his ancestors, fierce warriors whose faces, etched with resolve, twisted in pain. Each one bore the weight of their fears, and in their eyes, he saw a mirror of his own struggles. Suddenly, a figure broke through the melee, a tall man, battle-worn and clad in armor, his features strikingly similar to Thomas's own. "You must choose, Thomas," he cried, his voice thunderous against the clamor around them. "What are you willing to sacrifice to save Willow Creek? What truth are you willing to confront?" "Who are you?" Thomas shouted, desperation threading through his voice as he grasped who it might be. "Are you one of my ancestors?" "Yes." The man stepped closer, the glow of his aura illuminating the shadows momentarily. "I am your great-great-grandfather, Joseph Hargrove. I stood against the darkness that sought to claim our land. It is your turn now, but to win, you must confront your greatest fear." Thomas's throat tightened as the battle around him faded, replaced by a haunting vision of his life, the fear of failure, the weight of expectation, the panic of losing everything he loved. "What if I cannot do this?" he mumbled, each word draped in doubt. "What if I let everyone down?" Joseph's expression softened, and the fierce energy gave way to understanding. "The darkness seeks to exploit your fears, to unravel your courage. You cannot falter in the face of adversity. Remember the strength of those who came before you." In a blink, the battlefield vanished, and Thomas found himself standing in a dimly lit room, an illusory representation of his deepest fears. The silence was deafening, broken only by the soft whimper of Max, who pressed against his leg, undeterred. The sight of his loyal companion steadied him, pinpricks of determination igniting within. Before him, a door loomed, a gateway fashioned from dark wood, twisted and gnarled, giving off an ominous energy. It pulsed like a heartbeat, beckoning him closer but also pulling at his unease. Thomas swallowed hard, knowing instinctively that whatever lay behind it was a reflection of everything he had ever feared: failure, loss, abandonment. "Step forward." Joseph's voice echoed in the dimness, a reminder of his ancestral strength. "You must enter to face what lies within." Taking a deep breath, Thomas straightened. "I won't let fear control me any longer," he muttered, rallying his resolve. He stepped forward, Max at his side, and grasped the cold handle of the door. With a wrenching motion, he swung it open. Light exploded from within, pouring out like a flood, encasing him in warmth and illuminating the darkness. As he stepped across the threshold, images rushed at him, memories of past failures and regrets, whispered fears and moments of defeat. Each image struck him hard, a weight pressing against his chest, but with every recollection, he also felt something transform within. Embrace them. Transform them. Clara's voice was a tempest within him now, threading through the chaos. "These are not burdens but lessons that have forged your identity." With renewed strength, Thomas opened his heart to the specters of his fears. "I have failed," he shouted into the brilliance, finally acknowledging the weight. "I felt disappointed. But I'm not defined by my failures. I'm defined by how I choose to stand back up." The memories drew closer, swirling around him, and with every admission, the unbearable weight began to lift. The faces of his ancestors appeared, surrounding him with an aura of support and love. "You are not alone," Joseph declared, stepping forward. "You carry our legacy, our strength. Your courage is more powerful than the darkness." As the visions coalesced, they formed a single figure before him, a radiant warrior, a representation of his true self, emerging clearer and stronger than ever before. It bore the scars of battle, the wisdom cradled in the deepest recesses of his heart. "Now, take hold of your legacy," the manifestation urged, extending a hand towards Thomas, inviting him to grasp what he had always considered out of reach. Without hesitation, Thomas reached out, feeling warmth surge through him as their palms met. Suddenly, a powerful energy flowed into him, a connection binding courage, knowledge, and the strength of his lineage. With that, the shadows clamoring for his fear began to fade, dissolving into bright fragments of light, transformed through acceptance and understanding. "I am Thomas Hargrove," he declared, his voice resonating with newfound strength, "and I will protect this legacy." As the chamber spun into a brilliant cyclone, the world crumbled around him, and he felt himself propelled forward. The trials of the Guardians commenced, propelling him toward the next challenge he must face to reclaim the land and forge his own destiny.